What is up, everybody? This is Sickma. That is Sickma, but I am heading today's. I'm gonna host it because it's food related and it's tea related. Two of my favorite things, honestly. So, since that is the case, I would like to welcome our host,
Thank
Gaurav
you.
Saria,
Hello.
who is dubbed as the flavor whisperer and the master of tea. With such accolades, I would say, to your name, I am expecting my mind to be blown away, and it always is. I am very simple to please when it comes to food and tea. Again, this is something that I think you are someone to ask about, the
Yes.
authority, if you will.
Absolutely.
What would be the difference between tea and chai?
Okay. So now, since we've been doing this for about 21 years, what we are having right now is known as a tea. It's one of my favorite teas on the planet. It's known as a vanilla oolong, which comes from Taiwan. So basically, there's no real vanilla in it. It's scented with milk vapors, which are boiled in the drying part of the tea manufacture process. So tea is like chocolate. It takes aromas from around, and these milk vapors are absorbed by the tea leaves, and then they are stored in there until we steep them like this. So when it is steeped like this in a teapot, then it is known as a tea. When we cook it in the kitchen and we put a whole lot of spices and sugar in it so that it's rendered drinkable, then it is known as a food or a chai.
I can smell the vanilla in this.
Is it just me from here? Could you smell it right from here?
This is going to be one hell of an experience.
It's going to be one hell of an episode from all I'm
Exactly.
going to get started with.
So first off, we're gonna start off with our tea.
Cheers to tea. Cheers to the cup that cheers but does not inebriate. And the proper way to drink a tea is to slurp it a little, roll it around in your mouth like a fine wine. That will aerate the tea and let the aroma hit your nostrils, and then drink it.
Oh wow.
So this is ethereal basically. This tea is being sold at about 30,000 rupees a kg.
The episode hasn't even started, and I think I might have already found my favorite tea right here
This
on this very
is
episode.
extremely good.
Thank you guys. I'm glad you're liking it.
Like I said, I'm an easy person to please when it comes to food. Again, when you said slurp it around like a wine, it just reminded me of the time I went to a wine tasting with my friends. I think it was a 6-year-old wine we had to taste. Just reminded me of that. But this has more flavor than it, honestly.
I'm glad. So that's where I come in. I'm the tea master and the chef. So basically, I've done 21 years R&D on flavor extraction, flavor retention, extraction, and presentation. Because you can lose the flavor any step of the way. Suppose I don't store this tea properly in my warehouse, then all the vanilla aromas will evaporate. And then when we steep the tea, it will just taste like hot water, which is possibly what happens in most of the places because they don't know how to store the tea properly. Us being from the tea business since the last 80 years, I treat the tea like my firstborn child with the greatest of care. I handle it with kid gloves. We vacuum seal it and we keep it in a dehydrated chamber so that the tea preserves its freshness, and also the food. We put the same attention of detail to the food because you don't want to be shortchanged on the flavor, whether it comes to food or beverages.
So Gaurav, Tea Master, where did that title start from? Where did the whole journey begin of you actually being an enthusiastic and like passionate tea lover to being one of the first person to actually have his own tea room in the country?
So we've been in the tea business for 4 generations now, for 80 years as a tea company. We manufacture about 6 million kgs of tea per annum. So having always grown up in tea estates and working in the tea industry, going to factories and listening to the adults having conversations about selling tea and how to sell tea, where to find the next buyer, I was sort of steeped in tea from the moment I was born. And it was very clear to me that I wanted to be in the tea industry. So my father had a different thought process. He wanted me to be in IT, and so he made me study computer science at college. And then after which point I decided that now it's time that I start taking decisions on my own. And then I switched back to retail or tea. We were figuring out what to do, and then this opportunity presented itself in 2003 and I jumped at it.
2003, that's been about 20 years since then. It's been quite a journey.
21.
It's been around 21, a year younger than
That's
I
my
am so
birthday.
far. just as old as you. So Gaurav was just telling me prior to this interview, saying that this whole idea of tea rooms, it's older than you. And he told me he's been in the business for 21 years, right? Prior to that, you were a computer science student.
Yes.
At what point did it actually struck you that you wanted to bring this to the city and expand it beyond just having plantations over and making it like actually selling it to the world and probably selling it as a lifestyle? Because you've been telling me that this is a very healthy concept and you've been against the fact that tea and chai are not the same thing.
Yes.
We just discussed that tea, when it's steeped, and then water is boiled and then gets still.
Correct.
And then leaves are put in it. That's
Yes.
steeping the tea.
And we have to be conscious of the temperature as well. Some teas call for 80 degrees temperature, some teas call for 90. We started learning coffee now after 21 years as an homage to Bangaloreans because we are all coffee drinkers here. So coffee has to be steeped at 94 degrees, green teas at 80 degrees, black and oolong teas at 90 degrees. So when you take care of all these variables, that's when you get the perfect cup of tea.
Because I've heard that if you steep tea at the wrong temperature, it might reach a titration point where the bitterness and the sourness of the tea comes out rather than its intended flavor.
So it'll either be underwhelming or overwhelming. It'll not be perfect.
So like same thing with coffee. I think the way I found that out was, I'd say, the weirdest way, which is Breaking Bad. In Breaking Bad, there is a scene where Gary and our titular main character, which is Heisenberg, when they are in a meth lab, when they're cooking in the
Same
meth.
as the coffee. I've
Yeah,
seen
the
that
coffee
episode.
machine.
Yes.
When he started talking about it, I was blown because I also make coffee at home. I make tea at home. I make chai at home, to be specific, not tea. I don't have that kettle machine at home to
We'll
make.
fix that today.
But I do have those tea bags. I think that is the closest I
So
can
tea
get.
bags are not tea. Let me tell you.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
I do want to get to that, but I think that is the closest I've gotten to tea as compared to just like boiling it over the stove. So the one that I use is like a lemongrass kind of thing. Lemongrass chamomile kind of flavor. Because I want to talk to you purely about the flavor perspective here. So when it comes to the flavor of tea, when it comes to that, if it's infused with something like chamomile or lavender, would it be a better tea taste wise as compared to like a more herbal flavor, earthy flavor? Would that be better, or would a lemongrass kind of flavor be better to the ordinary drink?
Explaining flavor. Now there are two methods to flavoring teas, coffees and other products. Most companies, the commercial corporate ones, they use flavoring agents like essences, crystals, oils, lotions, magics and God knows what all hocus pocus they do, so that the extracts of the particular product in question is added to a tea or a coffee, and thereby you get the aroma of it. But you get none of the health benefits because the product does not exist in the solution.
It's
So
just
now
the essence of the flavor.
it's just the flavor, which is just the aroma, and that is why wherever you have these teas outside, you feel that they are insipid, they are weak, because the flavor has evaporated by the time you brew it. And then when you taste it, it's actually flavorless because it's just hot water.
Prior to this interview, I came into an understanding that most of what is made over here comes from your own very plantations.
Not most, like this particular tea which we're having next is known as an Egyptian peppermint.
Alright.
It comes all the way from Egypt. This is the world's best peppermint. It works on common cold and cough. In fact, this is Dr. Raman's favorite tea.
Wow.
He trips over this tea.
For all our viewers, Dr. Raman is the reason this podcast is happening here
Cheers
today.
to Dr.
So,
Raman.
cheers to Dr. Raman for that.
Just not-
And to Pranav.
And to Pranav himself. That's going to be my last sip. I really wish I wanted to drink this more, but I want to jump on to our next stop here. We're a little bit. Our cameraman right by the camera wants to have a sip over there.
Oh, I'm not.
Ved,
giving up
whenever
this
you're
tea.
ready. Whenever
I'm
you're
not
ready.
giving up this.
Come
tea.
on, why guys? Finish it. I'm done. See?
Even I'm done.
No wasting.
I'm trying to save my appetite over here
Absolutely.
for
This
everything.
is calorie-free tea.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell us, what is the timer all about here?
So some teas, as per the degrees, they need 80 or 90, and so therefore also the time. So you have to brew green teas for 2 minutes or less, after which point it starts releasing all the unfavorable characteristics, rendering the tea astringent. Which is why whenever you've had a green tea anywhere else, you found it bitter, because they've used low quality tea leaves and they've not given you the correct instructions on how to brew the tea. So thereby, once you see how gently the color is steeping out of the leaves.
Like,
And is this a common thing for all tea, like a standard time, 5 minutes for
No.
everyone?
2
What does it
minutes
differ?
for green tea, 3 to 4 for black, 5 minutes for oolong and herbal. Depends on the tea. The manufacturer must tell you. It should be written on the pack how
And
long
you have
to
stop
steep it
logs for all of that accordingly as well.
Yes. So this is basically from the tea industry. When we brew 30, 40, 50 samples at a time, we have those tumblers. If you've seen the white tumbler and a little cup, we add the tea, pour the water, and then we turn the timer.
Okay.
So that the boys who help us in the tea estates, they are the uneducated ones. So they know visually that this tea is ready, and then they strain it out for the taster to taste.
So while this timer is taking and the tea is taking its time to cook, I'm assuming that there's munchies over here while the customers wait in. So what do we have here right now on the table?
So here is one of my top-selling starters, entrees, small plates. This is known as mini spinach hand pies, which is basically phyllo pastry, and inside we have a little bit of cream cheese, ricotta, basil pesto, and spinach. And it's baked.
Ricotta.
Yes, cheese.
We're just going to show this over to a camera so our viewers can see what this beauty looks like right here.
So it's very light, it just melts in the mouth. It pairs very well with green teas and the lighter and aromatic teas. So all the dishes are paired over here with the teas like a wine menu, so that customers know what to eat with what tea. So they can either choose the tea first and pair a food with it, or they can choose the food and then pair a tea with it. This is where the tea master comes in. The tea master is supposed to guide and educate the people who visit his restaurant. Like a sommelier does for the wine, a tea master does for a tea room.
This looks fascinating. Wait, before you drool all over your mic, you could definitely go ahead and have your first
The
bite.
next starter
You
is
can take the
already
first
here.
bite. I'll give
This
it to
is
you.
starter sauce, and this is chili mayo. All the sauces, chutneys, dips, dressings, cakes, breads, pastries, everything is made by me in-house from scratch every day. So we've invented fresh functional food, which is the antithesis of ultra-processed food, which is what all the commercial establishments are dishing out. See how he is feeling.
Just when I think something couldn't top the next thing to come, you just surprise me every time, Gaurav. You surprise me with everything that's coming out here.
So I've had the luxury of curating each and every recipe over 21 years.
I'm
And
gonna start
because
crying. This is so good.
that's the point of good food. It should make you feel something, to the point where if you're really in love with food, it will make you cry. And I've been waiting for this, both these things actually, for a long time. One is for somebody to cry after eating my food, and two is for my first podcast. So thank you very much, guys,
Absolutely.
for having
So
me
far,
here.
what we've seen, we've loved. So before we move on, and before we have all our viewers drooling onto the screen, watching all of this being served over here, what is the location? What is the go-to location in Bangalore that they can find you? They can find Infinity in Bangalore. What are the two locations we can find it over?
So currently we are operating out of Cunningham Road and at Indiranagar. Indiranagar is near the ESI hospital, and Cunningham Road is opposite the Yes Bank. And I'm here at Cunningham Road cooking on the weekdays and in Indiranagar on the weekends. Because I love making food, and I definitely love feeding people and then seeing these kinds of reactions. This is what inspires me.
And Gaurav, are you originally from Bangalore?
I moved here from Calcutta about 21 years ago, and so I feel I've earned the right to be called a Bangalorean now. So now I tell people I'm from Bangalore.
I'll tell you why I asked this, because so far what I've heard is there are only two branches across the whole globe.
Yes,
if I'm not wrong,
that's
of
it. All
Infinity.
over the world, only two branches.
Why Bangalore?
Because of the salubrious climate and all the young people, and Bangalore being a retail destination. This was true in the 80s and 90s. All the retail brands launched their first outlet in Bangalore itself. So, taking a leaf out of all that, we decided to do the same.
Alright. Okay, moving on to our next dish. What do we have here? And I think the tea looks
First
pretty
off,
fascinating.
I'm going to be honest, that peppermint flavor, as much as peppermint to me is a very jarring flavor when it comes to teas. I've never had peppermint tea per se because I'm scared of what that does. Because the first peppermint tea I had was a mixture of peppermint and normal Darjeeling tea, which I don't think is correct because Darjeeling on its own as a tea is good.
So, it's like fusion food. Fusion food leads to confusion. So, same with tea. So, my peppermint, there's only peppermint in it. There's no tea. I've consciously decided not to put tea in it because those are known as fortified herbal teas. And when there is no tea in it, it is known as a tisane, which is a French word, which means a herb which is steeped in boiling water, the way a tea is. And that lends itself to the process of brewing a tea, and hence it's called a tea, but there's no tea in it. And hence this is caffeine free. All the teas contain caffeine, green, black and oolong. They contain less amounts, but they do contain caffeine. So anybody who's sensitive to caffeine or allergic to it, they can have any of our fruit or herbal tea, both of which contain no tea at all.
And it gives the same sort of effects and benefits of what a normal caffeine tea would.
No. So the tea has its own health benefits. Each cup of tea, black, green or oolong, has more than 200 chemicals, each uniquely beneficial to the human immune system. It's loaded with antioxidants and polyphenols. when it comes to teas like peppermint or chamomile or rose, they have their own health benefits associated with them. So when you brew them with the real product in the water, that's when you get those associated health benefits.
So this is Egyptian peppermint.
Egyptian peppermint, the best peppermint I've had in the world, because I've had peppermint from all over the world. It's a big family. There's tulsi, there's spearmint, there's many more types of mint. It's not only one. Then the peppermint from India tastes different. It's like wine. The wine from Italy tastes different to the French wine, tastes different to the Chilean wine, to the New Zealand. Same goes with the tea.
Right.
When it comes to wine, have you had wine before?
Oh yes, lots of it.
The reason I want to ask is because there is a big debate online about which wine from which country is better. Because I think there are 4 countries that are top contending for wine, online at least. The Somalia community is different, and I am chronically online. I'm mostly on the internet because that's my second home. So 4 countries that have been fighting it out for the top. There is French wine, there's Italian wine, there's Greek wine, which I didn't know, and then Spanish wine. So according to you, out of these 4, which one would you rather prefer, and which one do you think has the most unique way of being prepared?
So Italy and France are the old boys. That's the old guard. They were the first wine producing countries of the world. Then it went to South Africa. And then from there, once everybody else figured out that you can convert grapes into money, drink producing has started all over the world. So there is the new wine, there is the old wine. Some people align with the new wine, some align with the old wine. The new wine producers have invented things like those screw caps, which the old wine will never accept. They will never accept a bottle with a cap. They would always want a cork in it. So there are lots of rules. Rules are designed so that they can be broken. Young people, please listen. No rules are meant to be followed. But first, to break the rules, you must understand how to play with them. You must follow.
Does Gaurav have a personal wine in all this debate so far? Does Gaurav have a personal wine choice?
My wine,
favorite country?
So I'm very proudly Indian. I think some of the Indian wines are doing a fabulous job. They just Sula, Grover. My personal favorite is the Viognier from Grover, which is a white wine, which is one of the best wines I've ever had in my life. And a half bottle costs you merely $600-700. You don't want to waste your money. There's no point
You
doing
owe me
that.
800, right?
You're not going to go and buy a bottle of wine. If you're going to buy a bottle of wine with that, I'm not giving you 800 rupees back. with it as my witness over there. But moving on, before he jumps on to why I owe him his 800 rupees, what do we have here, Gaurav?
This is chicken satay made with a peanut sauce, and the chicken piece is the supreme piece. Again, we use not the leg but the breast. On each breast there is one supreme. That is the most tender part of the chicken. And that is the part which is the easiest to overcook. All it takes is 10 seconds of cooking extra beyond the required time and it becomes rubber.
I see you lose a lot of microgreens so far in whatever dishes that's come in. So is that probably a way of hinting a lot of health benefits within the
So
food?
these are
and
superfoods and they look cute. So I love using the microgreens to, deck up the food a little.
Alright. Without wasting any time, Ved's again back just being fascinated at the table.
Listen,
I've never seen him like this before.
I'm telling this to you straight away. Food is my only weakness. The world can go helter-skelter, but I will never part from food, and good food, that is.
Taste it.
Of course.
I'm proud of this.
I'm not going to let this chance go to waste.
Because this dish originally comes from Malaysia, the satay. Satay sauce is Malaysian, Indonesian, from that region. So I've taken...
So it's going to be a little spicy? Should I be
It's a
expecting
little
something
spicy,
spicy?
yes.
Okay.
So
Wow.
This is my take on it. So all the recipes on my menu are my renditions of...
So your renditions of international food. So
Yes.
it is more Indianized, if you will.
Not Indianized, I've put my stamp on it. It's like a fish and chips. It's a very British dish. I've taken my
Get a bit of
inspiration and accordingly I've tweaked it. So I don't like to copy and paste. That's something which I'm very inherently against.
So this
Alright.
pairs very well with this tea.
Yes.
Alright guys, I'm going for my first bite. Ved, what should I expect? Heaven?
Greatness. Greatness is what you should expect.
See how juicy and tender it is?
It is very juicy.
And I was pure vegetarian till 25. No mushroom eating, pure vegetarian.
13, and then I got mutton.
So Gaurav, before I ask you what we have on the table here next, I see a lot of passion here, right? And the first thing that comes into my mind is I can't go with ahead of this interview without asking you this very question: that where does all this passion come from? Has there been a mentor in your life looking up to it? And if so, what is the best advice you've ever been gotten in your life so far to the entrepreneur you are today? over here?
So my daddy taught me that when I was a young kid, that if you find something that you love to do, which is a very, very big aberration in this universe, then you'll be on a permanent holiday for the rest of your life. But there's a caveat that you can be good at anything you do. So you can forcefully make yourself fall in love with anything, provided it's paying the bills. So that's how it started in the beginning. That's because it was a means to my end of living in Bangalore and paying my expenses and managing my life. But then over the course of running the business, I actually fell in love with the process of cooking and curating the recipes and then actually producing them in bulk and then feeding it to the people I love, which is my customers. And then it's become a whole process and it's just endlessly gratifying. So for me, it's like a permanent vacation. I haven't been on holiday in 5 years.
Prior to the interview, you came telling me that this setup has purely been done, like every food over here is made fresh every day.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, how much of efforts, how much of follow-up does it take? Because from what I know, the restaurant business, the hotel business, the industry is cutthroat. And
Yes.
you're competing with that every day. We're competing with freshness, we're competing with marketing. So, how much, like, what is the targeted audience at the moment? And what are the kind of people that I can expect at Infinity, like, in terms of customers and crowd? So
You
far?
can expect me.
Thank you.
Me too, for sure. But so far.
So I've not limited myself to any bucket that I'm only going for this age group or that age group. Anybody who loves good food and beverages are more than welcome over here. And we have a very big USP is we appeal to all ages. We get like 90-year-old ladies coming here for their kitty for lunch, and we get young kids, we get college kids, we get families, and everybody seems to be happy because they love the food and the experience, and that's what really matters at the end of the day.
Hold up, when you say young kids, we're talking about college kids and probably high school kids as well who are enthusiastically coming to try tea out.
Yes, tea, food, they love like I've had, because we've been open for 21 years, I've had kids who've been coming here since they were like 5, let's say. Now they're 26 and they've been coming here all this while. Some of them are studying abroad. So the moment they hit Bangalore, from the airport they come here. This is their first meal and their last meal when they go back. We've got a very lovely young little French girl. She's about 16. She lives in Paris with her mum. They're both so the mum is Indian. She's married a French gentleman, and the grandmom stays in Embassy Woods, just right the corner. So every time she's here thrice a year, all three of them come, 3 generations. The daughter, the mother, and the grandmother, and they are here every time, at least 5 to 10 times during their 4-week visit. Like this, we have so many countless stories and friends, because 21 years is a long time.
I definitely want to go ahead. I have so many questions.
I'm going to go ahead. First things first, I'm going to go ahead because you call this a tea room, and I fancy myself a fan of history. I'm the one who stays awake at night watching those history documentaries on history TV. So, when you talk about this tea room concept, is it inspired from those old wives' concept of a tea room because they weren't allowed in coffee rooms back in Persia?
So tea rooms per se have been around since 400 years now. They started because earlier in the Victorian times, women were not allowed into the coffee houses. So they established tea rooms and they used to go there. And then from there it spread across the world. And unfortunately in India, we only drink chai. So I'm the first tea room of the country and the first tea room chain. But now thankfully the young people are waking up to the health and taste benefits of tea beyond your usual cutting chai. And they are the ones who are willing to explore and adventure into all these beautiful teas I've curated from all over the world.
I'm not gonna lie, I am a huge fan of chai. Vedanth knows me. Whenever I go to his house, whenever I can, I make that chai. I take start boiling the chai on the thing, put some garlic in it and then some milk. That's how
we welcome most of our
Not
guests.
garlic, ginger.
Ginger. That's the thing.
Why we messed up our chai last
I
time.
can smell the garlic. I can't really keep away from this.
This is exactly why we messed up our chai last time with our guests.
No, he threw in an entire chunk of just ginger
Comment down
inside.
below, guys, if you never want Ved entering my kitchen
wait.
ever again.
You know what? Roll the clip of him throwing an entire just cube of ginger inside without grating it. That's what happened.
I remember.
He remembers. That's what happened. And if that's the case, can that sort of formula be used in this tea infusions, if you will?
Formula like how to make the chai?
No. In getting that exact flavor and that exact comfort feeling that I get with the chai, is there a tea that exists that gives the same level of comfort or the same flavor profile?
So basically, this is very deeply personal. So for some people, the chai does that, and there's no tea on the planet which will do it for them. And then it's the reverse for the other people. And so then for the lunatics like me, everything makes me happy, provided that it's done well. I love chai also, and I love tea also. I love kombucha also.
Does that make India a tough market for you on that very note?
The toughest market in the world. That's why all the MNC companies pack up and go home.
I mean, I come in the lunatics with you. I have everything.
Takes
As
one
you
to
can
know
see.
her.
Exactly.
Kesar chai. Bolo.
You are
Kesar
seeing
chai.
right now.
Cooler mein. 3.
You can see me crying currently because this food elicits a huge response from me.
You know what? Before we go
Try the
ahead, let's do
prawns.
less of the crying. Let's do more of the eating because the table's getting filled up. We're going to be trying the prawns first. I think the right way to eat is with the garlic bread.
Yes, you
Not
can
wrong.
take a
Take a
little
bite
bit
of
of
this.
the bread, put it in the sauce, mop the sauce up with it, which is made with extra virgin olive oil, and maybe have a prawn with it. Just do it as you like it.
Got a big chunk of bite here, guys. Got a lot of olive oil.
So that's prawns aglio-olio. Is basically prawns with olive oil, garlic, chili flakes, and parmesan, and that's it. There's nothing else in there. That's it. I like to work with very less ingredients.
Because more ingredients spoils the food.
Yes.
And I'm not a fan of seafood, but I love this.
Thank you very much.
I despise seafood, you can ask him. I've never tasted seafood. I've mostly gone for land animals like chicken.
So that's
lamb.
not your fault. It's always the fault of the chef because the chefs, they don't know how to cook it. Seafood is very tricky to cook, and you have to be very careful
I can
with it.
see it. I've been eating shrimp wrong. I think my friend also made it
And
wrong.
this dish takes an entire of 60 seconds to cook.
I'm the biggest fan of short bites, and like I think this is going to be my first dish that I have to take a second bite into. I have to jump into my second bite of this. And so far, what we've eaten, Ved, I don't know if you observed this. I don't really feel that heavy. Like
Isn't heavy.
the second like some sort of food bloats me, like I'm like, oh, I'm done. There's nothing more I have.
let me explain
So
to
the
you.
options here is pretty big over here.
Let me explain to you why that happens. That's basically UPF. Whenever you eat UPF, ultra processed food, your body is reacting with inflammation because it's treating that food as a toxin, and that's why you feel bloated and heavy.
True.
And whenever the food is fresh, it's made with quality ingredients, you will feel full. My food is nutritionally rich, calorie poor. Everywhere else you get nutrition poor, calorie rich food. So that food fills you up temporarily, you feel hungry again because the organ in your body which is doing the eating is your brain. Your gut is just processing the food. But all the nutrients are delivered to your brain for optimum body function, for your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in when you sleep at night. That is what repairs you. After you go to gym, live your life, you break down all your cells, then the food helps you to repair everything at night.
Very true.
But provided the food has nutrition in it. All the UPF food is nutrition free.
True.
Only calories. It's like empty calories similar to drinking alcohol.
This has been so far an exciting start to our second season, and this is like a message to all the viewers from Sickma's crew that I'm officially boycotting any processed food chain, fast food company out there.
Yes, save your hard-earned money.
Why would I want to go to Starbucks, spend 300, 400 bucks on a coffee, while I could come here, stay all the time I want.
Get a better experience.
Stay all the time I want. Like there's no better deal. It doesn't get better than this.
I think the best corollary I have for you is not a chain owner but an innkeeper, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. That is the etymology of the word restaurant actually. Restaurant derives from the word restore, which was the broth which the innkeeper used to serve to weary travelers. When the innkeeper and his wife used to run the inn, they used to always have bread and a bowl of hot broth on the stove. Anytime you could walk in and they would serve you, you could spend the night and then leave next day. Wow. So even my surname Saria also means innkeeper and inn. So it's very, very...
What a coincidence.
It's very profound for me to be in the restaurant business.
Because it doesn't feel like a food chain. It doesn't feel like one of those conglomerate places.
It never
feels like
will.
home.
This is my house. You came to my house. And I've treated you like a guest who came to my house. Atiti Devo Bhava. That is what this business runs on.
Well, moving on, we're going to just have this side of it cleared up. And we'll move on to our next bit of tea over here.
This is a kombucha. Kombucha is trending worldwide. It's fermented probiotic tea. All the other brands, the ones which are shelf stable and are selling in supermarkets, which don't need cold chain, they have made it pasteurized like milk and they've made it shelf stable, so there's no probiotics in it. Mine is raw and it's unpasteurized, so it's good for gut health.
Cheers to
And
that.
it's sugar free.
I'm going to take my first bit of sip of kombucha.
This is designed for the beer lovers of Bangalore. because it looks, feels and tastes like beer. This is your day beer. You can drink it and not get high.
This is beer.
This is beer but better. Honestly, see, I've had
better beer.
fake beers, I've had those artificial beers.
Those Heineken ones.
The Heineken
Zero's
ones,
wrong.
but that really tastes so horrible.
You know what?
This is more refreshing than an original beer.
I want to give this to the camera. I'm not gonna finish.
Ved is just being an asshole, guys. He finished all the food and just giving out his tea over there.
Here's the thing, man.
The only reason he did that was so he saves his space for the samosa. What do we have here, Gaurav?
So these are Bengali samosas, which are from Calcutta, which is where I'm from.
Oh wow.
This is basically inside we have potatoes, kasuri methi and peanuts, no onion and garlic. And we built the brand and the business on this product for 21 years. Because ultimately we are in India and we Indians, we love our chai and samosas. So
it smells like beer. It tastes like
it's
beer.
designed to be like that.
But I don't feel like I'm drinking beer. I feel
There's no
nice.
alcohol in it.
I know. I feel nice. Those Heineken Zeros that they taste like beer. They
Calorie free.
calorie free, but it's
And my process takes me 60 days. The other people make it in 2 days and it's naturally carbonated.
And I feel some sort of flavor in there. What is the
This
flavor?
is green tea.
Oh,
So I'm not adding external flavors, just like in my herbal and fruit teas.
That's what
I
I'm
want you to
tasting. I
taste
just
the
couldn't
tea.
get my hand
so
on it.
it's like the authentic.
Darjeeling green tea. So now when you've had it cold, the flavor is very bold and you can taste it. Now I can give you a hot tea made with the same tea.
Alright.
And then you'll be able to make the correlation.
Because a colder brew extracts the flavor a lot slower as compared to a hot
Yes.
brew.
And much more sweeter and milder than a hot brew.
Because a hot brew kind of increases the temperature,
Yes.
causes it to bitter over
We
time.
brew this at room temperature, 60 days. So first stage is aerobic, where we brew it in the drum with a cheesecloth. Then the brew breathes and the solution takes the nutrients from the tea, digests the sugar, releases B12, releases yeast, probiotics, bacteria and all the goodness. Then after the first ferment is over, we put it in the bottle. And in the bottle, it's there for another 30 to 45 days. In the bottle, it's anaerobic. And then there what happens is the yeasts which are there in the brew, they digest the sugars and they release CO2. The CO2 is then dissolved and stored in the brew until we open it.
So it's not carbonated as much as we
Not
think it is.
artificially. This is natural carbonation.
See, the second Gaurav told beer, I was very scared of having my first sip of this because I have quit beer for the last 1 or 2 years.
There you go, now I can have this.
But after he told it was kombucha and it was the way it was made, I think I feel a little bit more satisfied right now. And I don't feel bloated already.
I just like the fact that there is good food going around, and and this is my first time having kombucha. So
For all the people out there who's going to be sitting and like coming at me for saying that I'm being too much into the health and all, you can have healthy food and you can make it amazing and like super delicious.
This
And
is where
this is living
FFF
proof.
comes in. Fresh, functional food.
This is living proof of
It
it.
should be tasty and healthy because diet starts with die.
True.
So it's a road to failure. It's a road to hell.
Fair
the
enough.
crew at the back of the camera, I gave him a kombucha. Both of them were just flat. I knew that would be the reaction because we guys party hard.
And this also works very well as a mixer. You can put your gins and your vodkas in it because you've got a
I
zero
was just sitting and
calorie
trying to think
mixer.
of what and all could I mix in it already.
So we've got
Obviously.
Just didn't want to sound.
So we've got the light one for the light spirits, we've got the dark one for the dark spirits.
Oh,
We've
wow.
got a bitter and a sweet kombucha. This is the bitter one.
So technically we got a stout and a German wheat
Yeah.
beer on the table right here, right now. Okay, we've got a lot of hot things coming here. Wait, do you want to jump into the samosa first? You're going to make this expressions for everything.
So this is now Kesar Chai. Kesar Chai, the kullad is sourced from Calcutta because we tried sourcing kullad over here, but because of the matti of the Deccan Plateau, the rim is very thick, which is not suited to drink chai. It'll scald your lip.
You can see kesar literally in it.
Yes.
You can see piece of kesar.
This is from
right
my
in it.
childhood. In Calcutta, we used to roam around going on drives, and then after the drive, we would go to this place called Sharma Dhaba. We would have Kesar Chai and samosas. That was classic Calcutta.
So this is what you brought from Calcutta
Yes.
to back.
Chai, samosa, kullad chai. So
Calcutta couldn't
and-
have an
and the
outlet
fact
of
that this
infinity, but you definitely got a bit of Calcutta over to Bangalore.
Of course.
Super grateful to that.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Since this is chai, you're going to see a serene expression because chai does it for you.
That's why I saved the best for last. That is what a chef is, right? He should know which buttons to press when.
Ved came here with the fact prior to the interview. I think Ved came a little late, and you were just telling me about the difference with chai and tea. And I told Ved about this. Not going to lie, Ved was slightly offended about it. But now I think he has a different perception all
So
over the
you
interview.
want to do chai, you want to do it like this.
You want to
There's
you want
no
to
half
have
measures.
chai. I think this is the right way, Ved. Still better than ginger tea back in college?
Let him be now for 60 seconds. So here we have the kesar chai, which is served in a kullad, which I've sourced from Calcutta. Because Calcutta, the kullads are thin rimmed, so that lends itself to not scalding your lip and tongue when you're drinking the tea. And it's paired with the Bengali samosas, because these two things are a match made in heaven.
And you can tell it's for real because I can smell the kullad as well.
Yes, so there you can taste India. India's earth combined with the chai, that is the flavor of kesar chai.
Oh wow.
So,
It's beautiful.
this is controversial opinion as you're a tea master. Now, we touched upon this briefly in the beginning. What is the difference between a tea and a chai? So, it was how it was prepared. But, again, but this chai, why can it not be called a tea?
So for me, as per the technical part is concerned, I feel anything that is made in a kitchen should be considered a food, and anything that is possible to brew on a table or on your coffee table or on your dining table is called a tea, which can be steeped.
So, if there's
Doesn't need
no-
to be cooked.
So, if there's no external heat other than what is there in the water
Yes.
coming out,
Yes.
it is a tea.
Yes, it's not being cooked by water continued to being boiled. So the water is boiled once, and then after that, it's let to rest for 30 seconds for black tea, brings it down to 90 degrees. 1 minute for green tea brings it down to 80 degrees. And then at which point you add the tea leaves. And then follow the timing requirements prescribed as per the tea.
So, you also sell tea.
Oh yes, we sell all these teas online and at the tea rooms. You can order online at infinityoriginals.com. We ship worldwide.
We will put it in the description.
Thank you very much.
Because we want people to experience the tea.
Oh yes, they should.
They should. It's a crime not to experience that. And I think out of everything that I've tried today, I'm sorry to say this is my favorite.
Please don't be sorry. I brought it out for you at the end because I knew you'd love it.
This is what I kind of have at the end.
This
of
is
it.
what Indians really feel. This is context for us. So, basically, food is all about context. It's about your growth environment, how you've grown up, what your parents fed you while you were growing up, and the things which you used to enjoy as a child. All chefs always go back to that. The flavors which we've enjoyed as children, and that's what we want to present to people, so that when we are young, we get excited about things, and we want adults to feel the same excitement which we felt when we were children. So to relate that into a real product, I'm going to serve you guys next a cheese chili toast, which was my favorite dish when I was a young man. Anywhere I used to go, I used to order the cheese chili toast. So every person has this dish which they go everywhere and try so that they can understand the level of operation of the restaurant. So for me, it was the cheese chili toast, which next you're going to have.
That is the one I'm most excited for, very honestly, at a personal level.
That is his what do you call it? Magnum opus over here. Mine's just this. This is just heavenly.
But Gaurav, I'm going to get to a personal context right now. Again, like a lot of the youth, at least most of our viewers watching it right now, they're all like pretty lost with what they want to do and where they want to get at the moment. So probably a background of your college life, of how that was and how is it totally different from what you're doing right now. So what is the number one advice that you would give to our viewers going forward? Like, would you suggest them to be scared? Would you tell them that things would work out eventually? What is it that you would recommend our viewers watching this podcast right now?
So, over the course of my life, I've learned that the universe is not a stable ecosystem. So, anybody who's looking for stability is on the lost track already. So, mess your life up, take risks, explore new things. There is no point in settling down. Like, really, there is no point in settling down. Because after that, the boring part of your life starts. You'll get married to the money, you'll get married to the lifestyle, you'll stop taking risks, you'll stop learning new things. Keep pushing the envelope, keep pushing the boundaries, keep challenging yourself, keep failing. Failing is the most important part of success.
Right from very afternoon, since the first call I had with Gaurav prior to coming over here, it seemed like a very interesting character, right? I'm not gonna lie. He's one hell of an interesting character. But again, like, what was college days like for you? What would you describe as you as a person back in the days?
So earlier, because I started college in 1999, that time computer science and all that was very hot. India was not a cool place to study and work in, so we had to leave the country to get branded as cool. And I wanted to be in music. Parents were not supportive. They're like, no, we will not finance this. We will only finance computer science. So thereby I went to college. I was studying for 3 years in misery, in abject misery. And then I spoke to accounts because this was in Australia, in Melbourne. So then I spoke to a counselor because they had those to advise students. I'm very miserable now. What should I do? So then she elucidated it for me that only Indian people listen to their parents. I don't think that's true anymore. At that point of time, it was. So they listen to their parents and they're forever miserable because they didn't decide what to do with their life. So I advise you, please go home, quit your computer science, and find something different to do, like painting or music or whatever you like. So then after I came back to Calcutta from Australia, that time I was very clear I don't want to be in tech, because while in college I'd got a job and that had bored the shit out of me, and I vowed never ever to work for anybody ever else again. I also read the book by Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and then that basically taught me that I must make my own company so that I can book all my expenses onto the company and pay tax on the remainder part of my income. And yeah, that's how
This
we
is
started
why I said
Infinity.
we should make a company, Vedant.
We're working on it. It's all there. It's happening right now. But Gaurav, it might come to surprise that again, majority of what we do and the base of our content again comes to the whole idea of targeting loopholes within the education system. But apart from that, we can only do that by relating to youth. So we try finding amazing stories like this and a lot of other stuff. So growing up, what was probably your one complaint with the whole education system, the idea of what's being taught to kids nowadays, and then do you see a difference, or like do you think things are getting worse, or is it better?
No, they're getting worse because I have a 15-year-old kid and I used to believe that the education system was already broken, and now it's gotten worse because it's become shit more expensive. Now it costs about 8 crore rupees to send a kid to the US for undergraduation, and I just don't feel it's worth it, because all you really need is an education. It's like how I tell my chefs in the kitchen, I buy Indian pizza ovens which cost 5% of the cost of Italian pizza ovens, and I tell my cooks that the pizza needs heat. It doesn't know whether the heat is coming from an Italian oven or an Indian oven. So same, the children need education. It doesn't matter whether it's coming from an Indian university or an American one. It's all about context. If you go to America, what have the whites done to themselves? They've destroyed their life, their culture, their society, everything. All they do is party and do drugs, and they wasted themselves. Now, all you learn when you go abroad is this. So you can do this while you're here. Support the Indian economy and learn how to live here. Because if you go abroad, I've met a lot of NRIs who've come back from US. They are unable to function out here because they don't know how to work in India anymore. So if you want to work in India at the age of 30, 35, 40, you better not leave right now. Because by the time you come back, India would have changed into a beast which you cannot digest anymore.
Considering the complaints we had, me and my 3 friends ended up opening a podcast itself right after college was over, keeping masters on hold for a while. So we just spoke our heart out. We're not going to lie about that.
I came back because I was 100% confident we are going to become one of the top countries of the world. This was back in 2000. Like, why should I live and work and pay taxes in a white country when I can do it here? There might be traffic, there might be pollution, but that's there in New York and London as well. So, we want to contribute to India, to the Indian economy, and people like us are going to help India to become the world's #1 economy.
On the contrary, were there any goods you learned as well? You told prior to this interview yet again that you've been to a lot of Michelin stars restaurants, you've traveled all around the world. So that also ideates to the fact that you've learned a lot, you've been inspired a lot all over. So in terms of rankings or probably like an estimation, how far does India stand? Like, are we there on top when it comes to food?
So in India right now, basically it's all about the Maslow's hierarchy. Since we've not covered our basics of education, water, buses coming on time, food is not something we think about because we've not even been independent for 75 years right now. And we've not 100 years. We've just completed 75 years of independence. So after we complete 100, we become the world's #1 economy. That's when people will start understanding food and the importance of food. Right now, it's all about food by the kilo. Biryani is the top seller in the country. But it's changing.
So far what I see is so many food bloggers from abroad just come in. The first 2 cities they go to is Bombay and Delhi. Okay. Recently, I think there was a food blogger, Mark Weens, who actually made an effort to explore Karnataka.
Mark Weens is... he's a genuinely good food YouTuber because whenever I watched YouTube, I watched the people review their own country's food first.
Here comes the beast.
He's not even going to remember his question now. Is he? Yeah. Why did I not see that coming?
No, but when it comes to it, right, if you don't know your own food, your own culture first, you cannot really critique someone else's food and culture.
Absolutely.
Because you have no legs to stand on.
Absolutely.
And that is why before I go for more Americanized or food from abroad, I like trying Indian food out first. So the closest thing to my heart when it comes to Indian food is poha.
Yeah, bro, I feel you.
Poha with the groundnuts that I can eat every day. And that is, like you said, what is your one food?
Comfort food, classic.
No, what is that one food? For you, it's chili cheese toast. Right? If you go to any place to check if they're really good. For me, if I go to any Maharashtrian place and I want to see if they have good food, poha, that's the one way to check it.
All time dal chawal.
Dal chawal is also good, man.
Yeah, what do you think I aspire to eat when I get home after working
Dal
for 12
chawal.
hours? Dal chawal, simple home food.
Dal chawal or
Yeah.
khichdi?
Khichdi, simple home food.
Wait, you don't
That's
have to
what
keep
keeps
that
the
back.
body
We just
going.
have to show this to the camera once before you do. I promise we're going to give it in your mouth. Because this looks really fascinating. It looks like chili cheese toast with extra chilies.
So there's 3 kinds of bell peppers, bell pepper trinity.
Oh, wow.
That's why it looks colorful. Everything should first you eat with your eyes, so it should look amazing. And then you should eat with your mouth, it should taste amazing. And then after that you eat with your stomach and your brain, it should make you feel amazing.
Okay. Wait, you can do the honors now. I'm going to let you have the first bite. And I'm going to have a tissue because as much as I love chili cheese toast, it always leaves me sweaty. It clearly always does. What do you think?
So 6
The bread
months
is
of
amazing.
R&D to get here.
The bread is amazing. The cheese, the pull is amazing. The mouth feels great.
Right?
I don't really care about spice. When it comes to spiciness, I have the highest tolerance in the food. This is not really a flex, but while trying misal pav, you know the tari that is there, right? We had a competition to see if we could handle the tari. So by the end, the misal pav was mostly tari for me. So I'm just drinking just straight up oil and just chili. So this is amazing.
I can see what you're talking about.
As they're eating, I want to ask from behind the camera. What do you think of a podcast when we approached you for this episode?
I was very
What is-
excited.
But what is your idea of podcasting?
What is the idea of a
So I didn't know about the video bit. I thought it will be only audio because I'm 45, so the video is caught up.
It's
Very
What do you
nice.
think about the trend of podcasting? You watch any
Amazing.
podcasts?
Yeah, I listen to them because they're amazing information and it's not something that has been summarized and made up for you. It's the real deal.
Who is your favorite podcaster then?
There's this business person. He does the 4-hour work week. I forget his name. I'm so sorry. Tim Harris, something.
I think I know him.
Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss.
I don't listen to people from my industry because whenever I want to learn, I want to listen from other areas of life and then use that to apply to my industry.
And what do you think? How is that different from an interview so far?
The podcast?
Or podcast? How is it different from probably a press interview or debate?
Because at
What is
least
your
I'm
views?
allowed to say expletives and say what I feel like. I don't have to edit. I can be myself.
Totally unfiltered.
And that's what I love.
That is what a podcast is. It is a bunch of people with talking, but instead of their, just their conversation being to themselves, that is broadcasted to the world.
Correct. What people
Sometimes-
need to hear. I hate that part.
Sometimes stupidity also filters through.
Like if this was a legitimate interview, I don't think I'll be sitting and having chai here and chili cheese toast because this is pretty dope. I love what I'm doing. I'm not gonna lie. This is so far the best curry I think I could have been in. And as long as Gaurav constantly keeps calling us to his place and we can constantly be having
The
a food.
earlier iteration of this was Chai with Lakshmi. Lakshmi Rebecca used to host chai shows.
Yes.
She's done lots of them here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I'm friends with her, so
Oh, wow.
we used to let out the space to hold their episode here. She's done quite a few at Infinity.
Wow. So are we like the next people right after Lakshmi, Rebecca?
Why not?
In the house of
than welcome.
Infinity?
More than welcome.
We can have a podcast here whenever you want, whenever we definitely want a tea. Or we can have them sent over like you mentioned as well. So whenever, we're down.
I am getting my parents here as soon as I can because I don't have enough money with me and I want them to try this experience with me because they're proper Indian parents. Like when it comes to tea, it's just chai that they have.
Samosa chai.
And honestly, it's something close to them trying out and like probably in a way trying to make them stand out. Because if I take my parents to say, for example, an Italian restaurant or something, they wouldn't really understand the concept of most of the things that I sing, right? But again, over here we have a certain twist with what's being put out, and you're curious. It's like, okay, it's tea. They're going to think it's chai. Think whatever you want. But you're jumping out of your comfort zone and like, oh, I think I really like this. Probably a little more than chai.
I'm telling you,
And if it doesn't work out, you can always come back to the kesar chai. I'm not going to lie about that.
Kesar chai is the highest one, and Kesar chai, vanilla oolong, and then it was the hibiscus, and then it's the peppermint.
So either ways, we're going to leave weight scale there. But before we call end for this very interview, which was an amazing segment, which is so far my favorite, a great start to season 2.
Yes.
Gaurav, your final word to all our viewers here today. watching this interview, what is the final word you want to give to all our viewers here today watching this podcast right now before we end this interview?
Love your life and go for it, man. Like, don't waste a single moment. That's it.
That is as Gen Z as we can get.
Everyone knows because so far all the guests that's come in, they've just given us a long speech. I'm not going to lie about it. This is as relatable as it gets.
Yes.
But either ways, guys, it's been your boy Sickma. With me, we have AKA Ved at the house of Infinity.
Infinity.
Not Sickma Studios. And we have the man, the myth, the legend.
You do it. You have to do the outro, man.
The man, the myth, the legend. We have Gaurav with us here today
Thank
at
you so
Infinity, serving us such beautiful food, such beautiful tea. We're super grateful for being over here, Gaurav.
My pleasure,
super
guys.
grateful
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so
having us over, and we definitely hit us up in the comments. We want us to visit you a second time to try menus that we haven't tried out yet, and we will see you soon until the next podcast. Comment down in below what you think was so far the fascinating food or tea that you've loved so far, and definitely if you've been here before, do comment what's your favorite dish here at Infinity.
I'm gonna recommend you come here, try the foods, and then tell us what you love the most. Because we'll have these are the best sellers. These are the ones that are mostly ordered.
No, not necessarily. I have an extensive menu. I've got 35 more teas, which I can delight you with.
40.
Yeah. Got 40 teas from all over the world.
So basically, we have a whole season 2 dedicated to Gaurav's
Yes.
taste as well. We still won't be able to touch upon all of them.
Obviously.
Well, it's taken me all my life, so one episode, if you cover it, then I've not really done enough.
But we can change that. If Infinity ever comes down to sponsoring us, we can just have one tea every episode. We're just telling, we're not calling, we're just letting
Yeah,
you
not
know. But either way, it's been your boy Sickma. We will see you until the next episode. And so far, like, share, and subscribe for further more notifications, such podcasts and such interesting guests here at the set of Sickma, people. See you guys soon.
Peace.